Welcome. In this video, we're going to take a look at two linear kinematic quantities, distance and displacement. So to start off, because distance and displacement are another good example of scalars and vectors, just want to review the definition. So a scalar is a quantity that only has a magnitude, whereas a vector is a quantity that has a magnitude and a direction, both of those things combined. So to maybe show a little bit of example that relates to distance and displacement, let's say that red dot is me, and I'm going to take a walk. So I'll walk 3 kilometers north and 4 kilometers to the east. And so I stop there, and I've got two questions. How far did I walk, and how far am I from where I started? And even though those questions sound similar, the answers are not the same. So the first question, how far did I walk? That one's pretty straightforward, right? So I walked 3 kilometers and then I walked 4 kilometers, so along that blue line. So 3 kilometers plus 4 kilometers means I walked 7 kilometers. That's the distance that I walked. I walked 7 kilometers, but it doesn't tell me anything about how I got those 7 kilometers. I could have walked in a circle, I could have walked in a straight line, I could have walked in a zigzag. There's no information about what direction I walked, just how far I went. So distance is a scalar. The second question there, how far am I from where I started? It's a little bit different than that, because I'm at the end of that 4 kilometer arrow. So really an arrow that would describe how far I am from where I started is that blue arrow. So if we look at that, that's a right angled triangle. So we've got 3 kilometers on one side, 4 kilometers on the other. So how far from where I started would be the hypotenuse of that, or 5 kilometers, which is different than the distance that I walked. But let's say I was lost, or I broke my ankle or something at the end of that 7 kilometers that I walked, and I needed to tell somebody where I was. So where am I? So I could tell them I'm 5 kilometers from where I started, but that really doesn't narrow that down, because I could be anywhere in a circle that's 5 kilometer radius around that red dot. So to really narrow it down to where I am, I'd need to give them some kind of direction. So I could give them the 5 kilometers and some kind of, let's say, angle from the north, like that arrow is. And so what I would be giving them there is a displacement, my displacement. I'd be from where I started to where I finished, that has both a magnitude, the 5 kilometers, and a direction, the angle. And that would be my displacement. So distance is a scalar quantity. It gives you the total length that was traveled without regards of what direction it went. So in a circle, straight line, whatever. Whereas a displacement is a vector. And it's a vector quantity that describes your position from start to finish. And most of the time in this class, we're going to be talking about displacements. And we'll usually use the small letter d or the small letter s. And typically the units for displacement are meters, but they don't have to be. They could be kilometers or whatever. A lot of times the distance and displacement, if the displacement is occurring all along the same axis, the distance and displacement will have the same magnitude. So sometimes they're interchangeable. So to kind of wrap up with an example, let's say I'm running a 10 kilometer race. So I start at the top there and follow those arrows down to the finish. And so the 10 kilometers that I would run would be the distance. It goes up and down and all over the place. But we don't really care. We just know we ran 10 kilometers. Versus if I wanted to know what my displacement was, it would be this vector that would go from the start to the finish.